Episode 83, JasmyCoin, Japan's data privacy blockchain. Your smartphone knows where you are. Your smart TV knows what you watch. Your fitness tracker knows your heart rate, your sleep patterns, and how far you walk today. Your connected car knows your routes, your speed, and your habits. All of this data is being collected, processed, and in most cases, sold, without your meaningful consent and without any payment to you. You are the product, not the customer. A group of former Sony executives in Tokyo looked at this situation and decided to build something different. They called it Jasmy. Welcome to Crypto for Beginners. I'm Robin. Today we are looking at JasmyCoin, the first cryptocurrency to be approved by Japan's Financial Services Agency for listing on regulated Japanese exchanges, and a project built around one of the most relevant ideas in modern technology: data sovereignty. What is JasmyCoin? JasmyCoin, traded under the symbol Jasmy, is the native token of the Jasmy platform, a blockchain project built around what its founders call data democracy. The central idea is straightforward. Individuals should own and control the data generated by their devices, and companies should pay them for access to it, rather than taking it for free. The project was founded in 2016 by Kunitake Ando, a former president and CEO of Sony Corporation, along with other Sony veterans. This institutional pedigree is unusual in crypto. Most projects are founded by software engineers or entrepreneurs, not by executives who ran one of the world's largest consumer electronics companies for decades. Jasmy is often called Japan's Bitcoin, not because it shares Bitcoin's mechanics, but because it was the first cryptocurrency to be formally approved and regulated by Japan's Financial Services Agency, making it the benchmark for regulatory compliance in Japan's crypto market. As of late May 2026, Jasmy trades at approximately 0.005 of a dollar, with a market capitalization of around $270 million. The backstory: when Ando and his colleagues looked at the Internet of Things, the billions of connected devices that monitored nearly every aspect of modern life, they saw a fundamental problem. The companies that manufacture these devices collect the data they generate. The platforms that run on those devices collect even more. But the individuals whose behavior generates all this data receive nothing. This is not a small issue. Data is one of the most valuable commodities in the modern economy. Companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon have been built almost entirely on the monetization of user data. The individuals who generate that data by searching, clicking, posting, and moving through the world with connected devices receive no compensation whatsoever. Jasmy's founders believed this was both economically unfair and practically solvable using blockchain technology. Their solution centers on a concept they call the personal data locker. How it works: the personal data locker, or PDL, is the core product of the Jasmy ecosystem. It is a protocol that allows owners of connected devices, smartphones, smart home appliances, wearables, or any IoT device to encrypt their data locally on the device and store it in a decentralized way. Crucially, the PDL gives the data owner complete control over who can access that data, for how long, and under what conditions. A company that wants access to your fitness data, for example, must request access and agree to the terms you set, including paying Jasmy tokens as compensation. You decide the price. You decide the duration. You can revoke access at any time. This is the inverse of how data currently flows in the digital economy. Instead of companies taking your data by default, you grant them access on your terms. The Jasmy token is the currency of exchange within this ecosystem. When companies pay for data access, they pay in Jasmy. When data owners receive compensation, they receive Jasmy. This creates genuine utility for the token, not just speculative demand, but actual usage driven by commercial activity. In early 2026, Jasmy launched the Jasmy Chain mainnet, its own Layer 2 blockchain that gives the platform real technical infrastructure beyond its original ERC-20 token model on Ethereum. This upgrade significantly expanded what developers can build within the ecosystem and moved the project from a token with a promising idea to a blockchain with actual programmable functionality. Why it matters in 2026. The Jasmy thesis that individuals should control and monetize their own data has become significantly more mainstream in 2026. Privacy regulation has intensified globally. Europe's GDPR, which came into force in 2018, has been followed by similar legislation in dozens of countries. Japan's own data protection laws have been strengthened. The broader conversation about who owns data has moved from activist circles into government chambers and boardrooms. By mid-2024, Jasmy had crossed 1 million active users. By 2026, the platform has integrated with major Japanese IoT companies and expanded into offices in Europe and North America. Japan's crypto tax reforms in 2026, which reduced individual crypto capital gains tax rates, have further boosted institutional and retail interest in Japanese crypto projects. The project also benefits from a structural advantage that most crypto projects lack: regulatory legitimacy in its home market. In an environment where global regulators are increasingly scrutinizing the crypto industry, being the first and most compliant Japanese blockchain token is a meaningful differentiator. The risks JasmyCoin is a small-cap token by global standards. Its price is extremely sensitive to broader crypto market sentiment. During bull markets, it tends to amplify gains significantly, and during bear markets, it can fall sharply. The total supply of Jasmy is 50 billion tokens. As of 2026, over 98% of that supply is already in circulation, which limits inflationary pressure, but also means there is a large amount of tokens already in existence. Several large holders, often called whales, own more than 1% of the total supply each, giving them significant influence over price movements. The data sovereignty concept, while compelling, faces a significant adoption challenge. For Jasmy's model to work at scale, it requires both device manufacturers to integrate the personal data locker protocol into their products and companies that buy data to accept Jasmy tokens as payment. Building these two-sided network effects is extremely difficult and time-consuming. The technology works. The adoption question remains open. Competition from both traditional tech companies pivoting to privacy-focused models and from other blockchain data projects is real and growing. The takeaway: JasmyCoin represents a coherent answer to one of the most pressing problems of the digital age: the unfair extraction of personal data by corporations without compensation or meaningful consent. Whether it can build the ecosystem scale required to make that answer matter commercially is the open question. What is clear is that the problem it is trying to solve is becoming more urgent, not less, with every year that passes. As always, this episode is purely educational. We are not promoting or endorsing JasmyCoin or any other cryptocurrency. Do your own research before making any financial decisions. If today's episode helped you understand crypto a little better, follow the show on Spotify and leave a rating. It helps more beginners find us. Next time on Crypto for Beginners, what is a crypto ETF versus buying crypto directly? That's next. A broader perspective on data sovereignty. It is worth stepping back and placing JasmyCoin's core thesis in a wider context, because the problem it is addressing is not simply a crypto-native issue. It is one of the defining tensions of the 21st century economy. The digital data economy operates on a model that most people have never consciously agreed to. When you use a free application, a social media platform, a search engine, a map service, the transaction is not really free. You are paying with your data. The company collects information about your behavior, your preferences, your location, your social connections, and your consumer habits. It processes that data, packages it, and sells access to it, typically to advertisers, but increasingly to a much wider range of buyers, including insurers, employers, governments, and research institutions. The scale of this extraction is staggering. Estimates suggest that the global data economy is worth trillions of dollars annually. The individuals who generate that data, billions of people going about their daily lives, receive no share of that value. They receive, at best, a free service in exchange for their data. At worst, they receive a service that actively manipulates their behavior to extract more of it. What Jasmy proposes is a structural reversal. If your data has commercial value, you should be able to capture a portion of that value directly. The blockchain provides the mechanism to enforce this, a transparent, immutable record of data access permissions and payments that no single company can unilaterally override. This is not a new idea. Privacy advocates and data rights campaigners have been arguing for similar principles for decades. What is new is the technological infrastructure that makes it practically implementable at scale. Jasmy is one of the most developed attempts to actually build that infrastructure, backed by people who spent their careers understanding both the hardware that generates data and the corporate systems that profit from it. Whether the market ultimately rewards this effort depends on forces well beyond the technology itself, regulation, consumer awareness, and the willingness of companies to participate in a model that is less profitable for them than the current arrangement. These are not small obstacles. But the direction of travel in global data regulation suggests that the current free-for-all in data extraction is unlikely to continue indefinitely. Projects positioned ahead of that shift may eventually find their moment.